Okay, we are all set. Okay, then I probably don't need this. Sorry. Okay. I don't need anything like this. Okay. This is actually something interesting I learned. I don't know, maybe it's useful for you guys as well. So there is a software called Spin software or something. Suppose you are trying to write an article, it will help you to write better. Okay, so uh, Spin software or something, Spinner or something. I'm forgetting that. Huh? So what it does, it takes your normal document and it gives you choices. Like say for example, during the instructor, so it will say contributed, added, led, something like that. Okay. So every word that you use, it will give you an option of adding a better word. Okay. So for example, here it will say something you are able to. Here, suppose I just read accompanied by an adaptive, something like that. It will say have accompanied. Here it says 90 hours effort, making sure that the software, program, app, process, all that it starts and giving you some choices, and then you can actually pick some of them. Okay, so I was experimenting this and I said, okay, let me run, because often I don't pay that much attention to English when I write. So if there is a software which can give attention to English, okay, so calm, peaceful, comfortable, all that kind of thing. Okay, so we go to the next topic, which is elicitation. Before we begin elicitation, would anybody like to ask any question on that knowledge area? Anything in your mind which you feel you would like to ask? Or you're all set for the exam? All set? Okay, very good. So then we will start this time with Svetlana. Go ahead, Svetlana.
I'm just reading it.
Sure,
Should
take
I read
time.
aloud?
You can read it aloud.
So business analysts need to understand the real needs of stakeholders. Typically, the question pattern to be followed by business analysis while conducting interview will be first open-ended, then close-ended, and close-ended, then open-ended. First unstructured, then structured. I would pick the C, the third. I don't have the ABCD, but the third, first close-ended to get the positive answers, yes or no or whatever, and then open-ended. Then we open a dispute.
Okay. Yasser, what would be your choice?
What name did you call?
Yasser.
Oh. Maybe the last one, because first we want to hear them talking and then go in details.
Okay. Yasser, would you like to take this, or I'll ask Samatara? Samatara says A. Okay. Okay. Asar will go with D. Okay. Let me explain. What is the difference between these two terms when we use these terms? Svetlana, can you please go mute?
Sure.
Thank you. See, there are two terms that you hear when you talk about interviews, and I'll probably have a new slide. Design, setup. Okay. One term you hear is something called interview type, which is structured and unstructured. So this is what is the interview type. Then you have something called question type, which is open-ended and close-ended. Okay, so what's an unstructured interview? An unstructured interview is one where you are not going with a pre-set questions. You're pretty open. So you start the discussion, the stakeholder gives you some idea, you ask the next questions based on what the stakeholder asked you or answered you. In structured, you have a set of questions that you would like to ask. Okay, so and typically a structured interview can also be conducted through an survey or questionnaire approach because you know the questions you want to ask. Question type, open-ended, means you are asking the stakeholder to describe something. Close-ended means you ask the stakeholder something to pick within a choice. Suppose you say something like this. Would GST apply on exports? So the answer can be yes or no. Some kind of a tax. Okay, so that's a very close-ended question because you want an answer which is yes or no. So now you have heard this explanation. So Svetlana, would you like to change your option or continue with that old option?
I'll go for the last option. First, unstructured, and then we need to open the conversation, and then we need structured conversation.
But what am I asking you in the question? Read the question.
Understand real needs
No.
of stakeholder.
But the question is about what? It's about question pattern, not about the interview pattern.
But it says interview.
No, I know during the interview, but what is the question about? It's the question pattern which you have to answer.
I guess the first one would be the right answer.
Correct.
First you open the conversation and then you start picking up details.
Yes, that's the right answer. Okay, good. So don't be in a hurry to answer. Just take a little time. It's okay to take about a minute to answer your question because you make a mistake, then you do not get the credit for that question. Okay. Good. This question goes to the next person in line, and I think I asked Yasser and Svetlana. Did I ask Yasser? I don't remember. Yasser, maybe you can take this question. It's okay, even if there is one question here and there. Don't worry. Okay, Yasser says A. Okay. Samatara, what would be your choice? Hello, Samatara. Samatara is also going with A. Very right. A is the right answer. Did anybody have any other option in mind?
I got the B.
Okay. B is also not a bad option as such. But usually what we say when you start something, you should look at your organizational assets first. That's like your document analysis, and understanding your documents that is present already can be very, very helpful. The organizational asset is a very strong term, and risk analysis again is not very explicitly mentioned as part of your requirements preparation. So that's why we did not choose B, but B is also not a wrong option as such, but I would go more with A because of presence of organizational asset, which is directly mentioned in BABA. Okay. Good. Then next question to Rahul. Okay, let Rahul first give the answer, then we ask others. Rahul, any choice? This is actually a very interesting question. All four options are right.
I would go with the last one.
Okay. Rajnish? Rajnish is also going with option D. Murat? Murat also is going with D. Everybody seems to be going with D. Jobat?
It's either A or D.
Okay. It's actually A. A for alpha.
A?
Yes. Okay. As I said, this question has all options which are correct. Not that D is wrong, nor C is wrong, nor B is wrong. All of them are right. But then how do you pick up the most appropriate one? So when you read Babok, you will very clearly see the maximum role for a facilitator is to make sure that the process is followed. Rest all he or she may do. It's not that Babok bars you from doing that, but your primary responsibility is to make sure that the discussions go in the right direction, in the right way. Okay. Can project manager not do some requirements analysis? Yes. Can business analyst not do some project planning? They can. But what is their primary responsibility? Primary responsibility for the project manager is to plan the project, monitor the project. The primary responsibility for the BA is to plan the requirements, monitor the requirements. So from that perspective, A is the right answer. Okay? Good. So we had gone till Rahul, and next question is for Rajnish. Rajneesh, what's your choice? Okay. Be ready to participate. Okay. Murad?
Pre-qualified.
Correct. What Murad said is right. So Rajneesh, you must be thinking, how come A is incorrect? Okay, if somebody is not ready to participate, there's no point in having that person in the group. Unfortunately, that is not something that is mentioned in Babok. Okay, what is mentioned in Babok is that the person should be pre-qualified. So that means in the pre-qualification process, of course, you can take care of the person is ready to participate, the person has the right profile, all that you can do as part of pre-qualification. Okay. So it's just a question which is directly from Babok. So that's why you have to read Babok very thoroughly. And one of the ways the questions are set purposefully is to give you answers which are kind of right if you think in a generic sense, but they are not mentioned in Babok. That's one good way to take your mind away from Babok. So when the questions are created, they are created with this distractor in mind. That means, have you read Babok very thoroughly or not? So if you have read Babok very thoroughly, you will pick up that concept. If you haven't read Babok very thoroughly, you will not pick up that concept, and you will pick up something which is right in general, but not mentioned in Babok. Okay, good. Next question goes to Murad.
C, I would say, to ensure status stakeholder concerns and status requirements are confirmed.
Very right. It's a very simple question. I think I should move it away from, I think maybe I'll make a note. I'll bring this question down. It's a very direct question which we are not supposed to ask in CCBA. CCBA should be a bit more complex. So I'll just make this note for my colleague. Move this question to ECBA. We can ask ECBA folks this question. No harm. But not to CCBA guys. Okay. So I sent it. Okay, let me go back. So since Murad, you got a very simple question, then let me see how many folks are still left. We still have four more people. So if I don't have the right answer, I'll come back to you. Who answered the last question, Jobert or Murad? Hello. Murad. Okay, then this question is for Jobert. Jobert, will you take the question?
Yes.
Okay. At least you tell yes first. Then I know if you're taking the question. I remember, Jobert, a very nice conversation with one of my colleagues. I sent a mail to one of my tech lead saying that this is a problem and we need to really work on it. I didn't get any reply from him for next 2-3 hours. I got paranoid because the problem was very critical, and I called him up on phone saying that, hey Varun, what's happening? Are you working on it? He says, yes, I'm working on it. Then I said, how do I know you are working on it? You are working on it. I'm not denying the fact, but I have no clue because we are not working in the same office. We are working in different offices. I don't see you, and I have no way to know if you are working. So I always tell people, if you get a mail, just respond that I got it, I'm doing something about it. If you don't respond, then there is no way for the other side to know if you are working or not working. But this is something which happens with many technical people. If you send them a mail, they actually work on it, but they won't tell you that they are working on it. Okay. Jobert. Hello, Jobert. Maybe JC? Sorry.
I would say maybe B.
Right. That's the main thing. Again, if you look at A, just to clarify others, A is not wrong. A is also right, but A is written from a project manager's perspective. And we are giving the test as a business analyst. So we should write answers as if we are a practicing BA. Okay. Go ahead, Jesse.
Why is D incorrect?
Okay. D is not incorrect, but see, do you put things in item tracker? What are the things that you put in item tracker? Item tracker is mainly for defects, clarifications. That's the main purpose of item tracker.
I think here the important thing is to resolve the issue.
Yes.
And this line, B, it has that word.
Correct.
Resolve, track to be resolved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually we don't track requirements as items. Although requirements are also one kind of item, but we generally distinguish between the two because things on which there is a conflict, there you have to be a bit more careful. Okay. Good. Then the next question goes to JC.
I'm just reading.
Go ahead.
Answer B.
That's right. First thing is to define purpose of any technique. In fact, if you read almost all techniques, the first thing Babak will always say, set your objective. Because if you don't have an objective in mind, you will go somewhere. That's why setting that objective is very, very important from a planning perspective. Like for all of you, your objectives should be very clear that I am going to complete CCBA in 8 weeks' time. Is it understandable? Does it have a time? Is it verifiable? Is it doable? Yes, all of these things seems to be right for you. So that's a good objective to have. Good. Then
I would like to add suggestion here. When I go for the questions, session,
Yes.
practicing by myself, I have to complete all questions in order then to review the answer.
Yes.
I will appreciate, suggest if we have the options, to select reviewing one by one.
True, you can.
Answer.
I know of
like
this.
what we are doing now.
Yes, yes. We do have a plan to do that, but it may take about a month and a half to get that feature out. In fact, there are a lot of things being worked in the background. One, we also would like to have a feature to raise a question. Like suppose you don't agree to the answer, you can actually flag it to the faculty saying that I don't agree with you, which is okay. Okay. So that feature is already in our backlog. Maybe it will take some time to come, but it's there in the backlog.
Yeah, it is very efficient, really.
True. Okay, so we went till JC, then Aparajita. Okay, very right. All of you agree to Aparajita? She says it's option A. What does Murad say? Let's see chat. Murad agrees. Yes. Okay. It's A. Okay. No questions. Good. Then comes the next question. So who all are left now? Andrea.
Let me read.
Go ahead. Take time.
Maybe D, but none of them feel quite right to me.
Okay.
Other systems or product. State diagram, perhaps.
Okay. Abbas. Abbas, hello.
Yes. Interface analysis.
That's right. Andrea, see, when we are talking about multiple projects and systems, we need to understand the interface between them.
Oh, I think I was being literal.
Okay.
I was thinking UI. Okay.
No, UI is one kind of interface. There are many other interfaces. Okay,
Gotcha.
So there can be system interfaces, which we do. Like, say, for example, I'll give you a very practical thing that we do in our company. So we have something on our website. We have an e-commerce store that's actually built on Amazon Web Service and AWS plus WordPress. Then we have our fulfillment engine, which is a different product, which is our internal tool. Let me show you all the requirements that we discuss and fix and bugs and all that for us. That comes here. So if I just come in here, should be able to log in. I really hate login, so I've been telling my team, can you do something to remove logins? I hope so. Okay, let me see. Rajnish has a question, good question. It's taking a little time, let it come, don't worry. So these systems have to have integration, and that interface have been created and analyzed, saying what kind of data gets collected here, how does it come here. All that is part of your interface analysis. Okay. Then let me ask the last question, which is the 10th question to Abbas, and then I'll take some questions, other questions that you guys have. I think I got a couple of questions to answer. I'll do that. Abbas, this is a question for you.
Non-functional requirement.
That's right. Because NFR generally deals with environmental requirements. Okay, very good. So, there were some questions by Rajnish, and his option is, okay, there is no role called project manager in Agile. Okay, that's accepted. Waterfall, Babak is still bit waterfall. So please accept the role of project manager if it is mentioned. Okay. Now, in Agile or Scrum methodology, what happens? Does it mean there is no project management activity? Do you think you will not need project management in Agile? Yes or no? You do. Okay. So then who does project management?
In Agile, the team are supposed to be self-organized.
That is theoretically right. Okay.
Yeah, the team leader or the Scrum or whoever. Yeah.
Who is Scrum team leader? Then there is no role called team leader in Agile. Okay. In a sense, Scrum does not expect a micro project management. So it says that the team should be good enough to manage themselves. So you really don't need a full-time manager or a manager who assigns tasks like the traditional way we worked. I remember our project managers would create a big MPP file, give the task to a person. That is something Agile doesn't expect to happen. But there is an overall plan, there is overall monitoring, and that is happening by your product owner. So in Agile, the key role of requirements management and project management is given to product owner. Okay. Okay, then Aparajita says C. Not so much. I think the best answer is Aparajita, or this is an old one, I think. Did you answer this one, Aparajita? Question 10? Or which question did you answer? Okay. No, it's actually NFR. NFR is one where you actually describe all the environmental requirements. Okay. Samatra has a different opinion. I will not get into Agile so much because neither I am an Agile expert nor this is a course that will give you too much idea about Agile. In principle, I believe product owner, the amount of project management that you should do in Agile is relatively less. And that's why the product owner should be able to manage most of it. If the product owner doesn't have the time, then maybe they will appoint a manager or somebody who would do that. But in general, the amount of management expected is lower in Agile compared to Waterfall. Waterfall is a very managed project. Agile is a bit more relaxed. In the sense, not relaxed, in the sense it is not supposed to be managed like a military or a methodical way. It's like too much planning, they feel. So they feel the team members are empowered, they will do the job in the right way, which is what we do. In a sense, if I see my company, we typically have 2 calls in a day, morning call, evening call. That's it. Then we work. And people work from anywhere they like. We don't bother. Would you like to come to office? Come. Don't like to come to office? Don't come. It's up to you whether you want to come to office or don't want to come to office. If there is a client meeting, then we of course come to office. But if there is no meeting, then you're free to work. Okay. Any further question? Okay. If no questions, then let's take a look at the next knowledge area, which is requirements lifecycle management. In case I'm not able to do solution evaluation, that's fine, because anyway we covered a good number of questions, which is what my intent was. In fact, in our earlier teaching methodology, which was 2017, we never covered so many questions in class. We always expected the participants to do it at their home, and we used to spend a lot of time on theory. But then we felt too much theory is becoming like a one-way street, and it's not that good. And anyway, we expect participants to do all the questions. See, imagine how many questions am I doing with you? I'm doing 50, 60. And you have 1,000 questions. So at least I gave you a good heads up on how to approach these questions. And then I'll feel, okay, I have done a good job. But you have to do 950 questions. So don't think that with this session, your questions practice is over. No. The questions practice will continue for a fairly long time. Okay, so we go with the first person, Abbas. This time we'll go again from top to bottom.
Meeting with subject matter to listen carefully to concerns and be able to reflect them with their content.
Okay. Andrea.
Sorry, slow reader here.
Okay. Those of you who are going for CCBA, even if you are a bit slow reader, it's okay. But those who are going for CBAP, you must improve your reading speed. Because in CBAP, the questions are going to be far longer. I will take you through some questions in the subsequent class. But remember that. So you must improve your reading speed because you are expected to read a lot during the CBAP exam. Okay? Okay, how to...
Some of the language in these...
go ahead, sorry, Andrea.
I just found that some of the language in these test questions is difficult.
Can be... See, please imagine these are 20 people from across the world.
Yeah.
They don't belong to a particular country. So it will be language which will be a little mixed up. Okay, so bear with that. You can't help.
My guess would be A.
Okay. It's actually D. The reason is we generally don't escalate something very upfront. It's always a good practice that you talk to the stakeholder, understand the viewpoint, and then see, not that you can't escalate, but escalation should not be a very immediate thing that should come to your mind.
But to not invite them?
You can talk to the stakeholder. Hey, Abbas, are you telling something to us or to somebody else?
Yeah, I said my answer is correct. I need to celebrate.
Yeah, okay. No, true. It's actually a good option. Always, whenever you have an escalation path, don't use the escalation path in the beginning, but sometimes you may have to use. Okay? Good. Was there any chat?
So wait, sorry, stop. So is D the correct answer? You just selected D.
Yes.
As in David. Okay,
Yes.
I thought you said B as in boy. Gotcha.
No. D for Delta. Okay. And Abbas has a good question. How to improve reading speed? I also do not know much. I'm not a reading expert, but I think some people say that, okay, read it from a distance. Don't move your lips when you read. Some of these techniques do apply. Those people who actually move their lips when they read, they're usually slow readers. So learn to read silently. That means without making any lip movement, you can read. Okay? Good. Then, next question. Andrea. This is actually a very intelligent question if you can get it right.
Happy.
Which one did you say?
B as in boy.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Lot of people go with option D, D for delta, because it has a long list. Okay. Don't go by a long list. If there is a document that you have created, that's the best thing to refer to. Good. I'm glad you got it right. Okay. Then we go to Aparajita. Okay, Aparajita says D. Jobert, do you agree? Hello, Jobert. Do you agree to the
Yes,
answer?
I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Yasser? Or maybe Svetlana? Do you folks agree?
Conformance to requirements with back forward and backward relationship to other requirements. D.
Correct. That's right. Okay. So when we talk of requirements traceability, we look back to our project objective, project scope. We look forward to the implementation, design, test cases, and of course, relationship between the requirements. Very good, Aparajita. So next question is for JC.
I'm reading.
Go ahead.
Careful B.
Okay. So JC picks B for Bravo. Murat, would you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Sometimes I say, some people tell me that D or D for delta is a good option. Because why shouldn't the project manager decide? Usually project managers are very reluctant to change anything in the scope. Because for them they have to do replanning, which they don't like. That's a work for the project manager. And because of some scope change, maybe the project will not be done in time. That's why they don't like to change anything, but sponsor could be a good person to decide whether something should be in scope, not in scope. Okay. Good. So we went till JC. Now Jobert.
Okay.
Jobert.
I'm here. I'm trying to select.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe C.
Okay. Murad?
A.
That's actually right, Jobert. See, usually you have something called a RACI matrix where you say who should approve what. Okay, so if your RACI matrix is not respected, somebody would come back and say, you did not get it right approval, so we won't accept. Like, say, for example, in many companies, a lot of critical requirements have to be reviewed by legal team. Because if you're trying to do something and if it is illegal, then you are in trouble. So, because the company can be penalized for doing something which is not legal. There are a lot of countries which I know which do not allow their data to be transferred out of their country. The data has to reside in their country, because if the data goes out of their country, then the company can be blacklisted from doing business, especially if you're working with US defense and those kind of organizations.
We have a project which was rejected last moment because of the operation manager did not accept. It is not approved.
Yes. Good. Then we went till Jobert. Murad.
Okay, I'm reading. I will say.
Okay. Rajneesh, do you agree to Murad? Okay, Rajneesh agrees. Very good. Rahul? Do you think it's the right option?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, very good. So all of you agree, so I also agree. Good. Then we go to Rajneesh. Okay, Rajneesh says C, C for Charlie. Sumatra, do you agree to the answer? C again. Okay, very good. That's the right thing to do. In fact, probably this is one question again. I can take it down. It seems to be a bit simpler. Okay, so if the question is quite simple, I think I should really move it down to ECBA. Let me just track it here.
The simple ones give me hope and keep me going.
No, I know, but they're for ECBA folks.
Oh,
Okay, well, sometimes we do also get confused a little bit with so many questions, so many knowledge areas, so many standards. So sometimes questions do get a little bit mixed up. We have to either make the question a little bit more complex or bring it down to the lower level of examination. These kind of questions are perfectly fine for ECBA because these are the people whom we expect not to have any experience. So they should be able to answer simpler questions. Okay. Good. Then whom did I stop with now? So I went till Rajneesh, I believe. Rahul. That's right. Okay. So this is the right answer. Okay. Then next question, Samatara. Okay. Samatara says it's B. Okay. Svetlana, what would be your choice?
I thought of D as well.
D for Delta?
Something improper.
No, not true. But what is improper? Okay. Yasser? What's your choice? Anybody else?
I thought C.
It's actually C for Charlie.
Yes.
So, because we don't reuse requirements, we tend to develop requirements, the same requirement multiple times. And this is actually a case with our product. It's a real scenario that we have in our product. So that's how I wrote this question, because this is a problem that I face. Okay, the last one. Oh, it knocked me out. 1 second, what happened? That's a bit strange. Okay, why did it knock me out?
Sorry, Are you busy signing on again?
Sorry, I missed your voice, Svetlana. I couldn't hear you well.
Sorry, it was not me talking.
Okay. Jesse, you were saying something?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
It's JC.
Yes.
Can I just ask a question while you're busy signing on again? How many times on our package that we bought did you go through the same set of questions?
Okay.
Do you only have one option to run through the questions?
Yes. Right now, yes. No, you can run through multiple times. It doesn't stop you from attempting, but it does not change the question order or the question right now. Only in simulations.
Yeah, but I mean the same question.
Yes, the same thing you repeat. So usually what I advise, you don't take the same questions very quickly. So if you have taken the quiz today, leave it 2 weeks, so that you would have forgotten about the question. Otherwise, you will remember the question and answer. We want to do some randomization, but it will take some time. Okay. So the last question to Yasser.
Okay, so you could do the whole thing and redo it in a
Yes, you can do. Okay. Yasser. Okay. I think this is a little bit of an ambiguous question, so I think I would mark it for review. To me, it looks like multiple answers are correct. So let me just keep it in the mail. I'll probably review this question with Fatima. I'm not very happy with the question. Okay. Maybe this one is somebody, maybe Yasser, I asked you a wrong question. Maybe you can answer this question for me. Okay. All of you agree? A for alpha. What Samatra said is right. Don't get carried away by the presentation of the product vendor. You must guard against that tendency, because sometimes the vendor may have features which look great, but they may not have that relevance for you. What you should look for is what you are looking for. Does the product do what you are looking for, or does it do something else which you may not need? Okay? Good. So I think we are doing pretty good in terms of questions. Maybe I'm running a little late in the schedule, but it's okay. I'm not very worried. As long as I do 50 to 60 questions, I'll be happy. So let's take a short break of 15 minutes. So we will come back. Read the question carefully. It's must guard against. Okay. Sometimes we are in a hurry to read the question. Don't be in a hurry. Okay. So we'll take a short break of 15 minutes. We'll come back. Maybe I'll be able to do all 3 chapters. I trust I can do. But since I want you guys to start your application process as well, so I will show you the application process and how you can start filing your CCBA and CBAP application in the next 30 minutes or so. But we'll take 2 more chapters and then the application process.